She was just a teenage girl, seated quietly in her first-class seat, ticket in hand. But the flight attendant didn't bother to check. Instead, she raised her voice, questioned her, and forced her to move to the back of the plane as passengers watched in silence. No one spoke up. No one intervened. But when the girl sent a single text message, everything shifted. Within minutes, the engine stopped, the flight was grounded, and federal officers were on their way. The airline had no idea she wasn't just any passenger, she was the reason the plane wouldn't move. In seat 2A, 16-year-old Amara sat calmly, her hands resting on a gray backpack in her lap. Her dark eyes were tired but focused as she gazed out the window at the tarmac. It was her first time flying alone, a gift from her godfather, Marcus, who had surprised her with a first-class ticket after she aced a national coding competition. The cabin was quiet, the seats plush, the air crisp. Amara wore a hoodie, earbuds draped around her neck, a book unopened beside her. She felt a mix of nerves and pride but kept to herself, watching planes taxi in the distance. Passengers were still boarding. A woman in a business suit typed furiously on her laptop across the aisle. A flight attendant stowed a bag a few rows back. Then, a sharp-faced woman with a name tag reading MS. Carter appeared, her heels clicking against the floor. She scanned the cabin, her gaze pausing on Amara. The smile on her face vanished as she approached. "You're in the wrong seat, MS," Carter said, her voice loud enough to turn heads. Amara blinked, confused. "I'm in 2A," she replied softly, pulling her boarding pass from her pocket. "MS." Carter's eyes narrowed. "This is first class. Where's your guardian?" Amara held out her ticket. "This is my seat." "MS." Carter snatched the pass, glanced at it, and frowned. "There's been a mistake," she said, her tone hardening. "You need to move to the back. Now." Amara's cheeks warmed. "But I have a first-class ticket," she said, her voice steady but firm. "MS." Carter leaned forward, hand on her hip. "I don't know how you got this, but you're holding up boarding. Take your things and go." The cabin grew quieter. Passengers shifted uncomfortably, some avoiding Amara's gaze, others watching like it was a show. Amara's chest tightened, but she saw the truth. No one was going to help. She stood, grabbed her backpack, and walked to the economy section, head low. She found a window seat, stowed her bag, and stared outside, MS. Carter's words echoing in her mind. She hadn't done anything wrong. She'd earned this trip. But it didn't matter. Amara pulled out her phone and typed a message to Marcus. "They made me leave my seat. Said I didn't belong. I'm in the back now." She hit send and locked her screen, unsure what would happen next. But one thing was clear, Marcus wouldn't let this slide. Seconds later, her phone buzzed. What happened? Marcus's reply was short, but Amara could sense his intensity. She typed back. "Flight attendant said my ticket wasn't right. Made me move. Didn't believe I was first class." Another message followed, "Flight number." Amara sent it. The response was immediate. "Stay put. Don't talk to anyone. I've got this." She exhaled, a strange calm settling over her. Marcus wasn't just any one, was Marcus Reed, a senior official at the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA. When he said he'd handle something, he meant it. In the galley, MS. Carter sipped water, a faint smirk on her lips. She adjusted a stack of napkins, satisfied with her decision. A younger attendant, Javier, approached cautiously. "About the girl earlier," he started. "I saw her ticket. It was legit." MS. Carter scoffed. "Things can look real. I've been doing this for years. You learn to spot when something's off." "She wasn't causing trouble," Javier pressed. "She was in the wrong seat." MS. Carter snapped. "I fixed it." Javier stepped back, unconvinced. MS. Carter didn't know it yet, but her fix had set off a chain reaction she couldn't stop. In the cockpit, the captain's phone lit up with an urgent message from ground control. "Hold the plane. Do not taxi. Official complaint filed." The captain frowned, listening to the instructions. A passenger issue had escalated, tied to a high-level FAA official. "We're not moving," he told his co-pilot, then addressed the cabin. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're experiencing a brief delay. We'll update you soon." Passengers groaned, assuming it was routine. But for Amara, it was a sign. For MS. Carter, it was the start of a storm. Amara sat in her cramped economy seat, staring at the seatbelt sign. Marcus's words Ive got this looped in her mind. The cabin felt tense, passengers whispering about the delay. MS. Carter moved through first class, offering tight smiles, pretending nothing was wrong. But her unease was growing. Something felt off. In the cockpit, the captain received another call, this time from an FAA representative. Director Marcus Reed has filed a complaint. A passenger was removed from first class without cause. You're grounded until resolved. The captain, a 25-year veteran, had never seen a flight stopped like this. He called for MS. Carter. She entered the cockpit, her confidence fading. The captain handed her a headset. A voice introduced itself. This is FAA Operations Manager Laura Hensley, speaking for Director Reed. You removed Amara Ellis from her first-class seat. Did you verify her ticket with the manifest? MS. Carter's hands grew clammy. No, I made a judgment. Based on what? The voice was calm but cutting. MS. Carter froze. She didn't seem like a first-class passenger. The silence was deafening. Return her to her seat. The voice continued. Apologize publicly. The flight won't move until you do. And when you land, we'll be waiting. MS. Carter exited the cockpit, her face pale. She walked to economy, each step heavier than the last. Amara sat by the window, unmoved. MS. Ellis, MS. Carter said, her voice strained. There was a misunderstanding. Please return to your seat. Amara looked at her, expression neutral. Misunderstanding. MS. Carter nodded stiffly. I apologize for the inconvenience. Amara's voice was quiet but firm. You checked my ticket. You saw my seat number. Why did you make me move? Nearby passengers turned, listening. MS. Carter shifted uncomfortably. I made a mistake, she said. Amara typed a quick message to Marcus. She's here. Says it was a mistake. His reply, make her say it. Amara stood, facing MS. Carter, why did you assume I didn't belong? You didn't question anyone else. Just me. The question hung in the air. Passengers stared openly. MS. Carter's lips parted, but no words came. Finally, she muttered, I misjudged you. Amara nodded once, picked up her bag, and walked back to first class. The cabin was silent, eyes following her. She settled into 2A, placed her bag down, and opened her book. MS. Carter mumbled. If you need anything, let me know. Then retreated to the galley, her face flushed. The atmosphere shifted. Passengers avoided Amara's gaze, their silence heavy with shame. A man across the aisle leaned over. I saw what happened. It was unfortunate. Amara glanced up. A choice, not unfortunate. He sank back, speechless. In the galley, MS. Carter gripped the counter, her breathing shallow. Javier stepped in. You know who her godfather is, right? I do now, she whispered. This won't end with an apology, he said. She looked away, her jaw tight. I thought I was doing my job. You assumed, Javier corrected. The plane remained grounded. Passengers grew restless, but no one dared ask Amara anything. The captain's phone buzzed again. The FAA was sending an officer to meet the plane upon landing. MS. Carter would be questioned immediately. The flight wasn't just delayed, it was canceled. A black SUV pulled up to the gate. 2 officers, one from the airline, one from the FAA aboard. The FAA officer, a woman named Officer Daniels, approached Amara. MS. Ellis, I'm here on behalf of Director Reed. You'll disembark last. Stay seated until called. Amara nodded. The officers moved to the galley, where MS. Carter stood, pale and trembling. They escorted her off the plane, her steps slow, her eyes down. As she passed Amara, their gazes met briefly. Amara didn't react. MS. Carter looked away, the weight of her actions crushing her. The captain announced, we'll begin disembarkation shortly. Remain seated until instructed. Passengers filed out, whispering, piecing together the truth. This wasn't a mechanical issue, it was about Amara. Javier stopped by Amara's seat. You handled this better than most would. I just wanted to fly, she said. He nodded respectfully and moved on. Amara sat alone in the near-empty cabin, the weight of the moment settling in. She hadn't shouted or fought, but her quiet truth had stopped an entire flight. At the jet bridge, Marcus waited, his expression calm but proud. Amara walked toward him, unfazed by the officials and staff parting for her. You okay? He asked. I'm fine, she said. Want to talk? Not yet. He placed a hand on her shoulder. You did what you needed to. They walked through the terminal, leaving behind a grounded plane and a system forced to reckon with itself. In a security room nearby, Ms. Carter faced an FAA investigator. You removed a minor from her seat without verification. Why her specifically? Ms. Carter's voice broke. She didn't look like a first-class passenger. The investigator's pen moved across the paper, sealing her fate. That evening, airline executives met in a tense boardroom. Folders detailed the incident, crew statements, passenger accounts, FAA reports. The CEO, Elena Voss, stared at a photo of Ms. Carter. She had no prior complaints, Voss said. But she humiliated a 16-year-old with a valid ticket. And that girl, a director added, is Marcus Reed's goddaughter. This isn't just a PR issue, it's a systemic failure. They drafted new policies, mandatory bias training, stricter ticket verification, a direct FAA reporting line for discrimination. This will hit the news, an advisor warned. We need to show change, not just words. Across town, Amara and Marcus sat in a hotel suite. She sipped tea, scrolling through early headlines. You're trending, Marcus said. It's weird, Amara replied. People act like they know me. They don't need to, Marcus said. They need to know what happened and why it matters. The next morning, the story broke. FAA grounds flight over teen's removal from first class. Social media erupted. Clips of Amara walking down the jet bridge went viral. Comments poured in anger, heartbreak, exhaustion at the familiar pattern. By noon, the airline issued a statement, suspending Ms. Carter and promising reform. It wasn't enough. The public demanded accountability. Inside an FAA office, Ms. Carter sat before investigators. What made you think she didn't belong? They asked. I thought I was protecting order, she whispered. You protected bias, the officer replied. Her career was over. Meanwhile, airlines nationwide rolled out new training, updated manuals, and stricter protocols. Amara's story became a case study, a quiet revolution reshaping an industry. Weeks later, Amara spoke at a community center, answering teens' questions. Were you scared? One girl asked. A little, Amara admitted. But I knew I wasn't wrong, and I had someone who believed me. Marcus watched, proud. Amara didn't want fame or headlines. She wanted fairness. And she'd gotten it not just for herself, but for every passenger who'd board a plane after her. At home, Amara found a letter from the FAA, commending her dignity. Marcus's handwritten note read, You didn't raise your voice, but you were heard. You always belonged. She smiled, the weight of that day lifting. The flight never took off, but her truth soared, grounding a system that had ignored too many for too long. And the sky? It was open to her now, with respect that wouldn't fade.